Just 3 days left for the US presidential election. The power of the female vote is in the focus. Women represent the country's largest voting demographic and are known for their high turnout in US elections. According to reports, women have outpaced men in the early voting in the 7 most contested battleground states. In recent weeks, the widening gender gap has caused alarm for Republicans. A report. The world is seeing an ever-increasing vitriolic US election campaign in 2024. The campaign makes headlines daily for the bitter attacks the two opponents are trading, but in the last leg, each of their support base is also on the radar. Former President Donald Trump called former top Republican Liz Cheney, now supporting Kamala Harris, a warmonger during a campaign event in the battleground state of Arizona.
She's a warmonger. She wants to go kill people unnecessarily. And if she had to do it herself and she had to face the consequences of battle, she wouldn't be doing it. So it's easy for her to talk, but she wouldn't be doing it. She's actually a disgrace.
Liz Cheney is one of the most prominent Republicans to turn against Trump during his 3rd consecutive bid for the presidency. Vice President Kamala Harris on Friday slammed remarks by her Republican rival and called Trump increasingly unstable.
He has increased his violent rhetoric, Donald Trump has, about political opponents, and in great detail, suggested rifles should be trained on former Representative Liz Cheney. This must be disqualifying.
It's not just Cheney who has switched sides. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who started his presidential campaign as a Democrat, is now endorsing Republican Donald Trump.
I didn't leave the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party left me. The Democratic Party that I grew up with was the party of peace. It was the party of civil rights and constitutional rights, and particularly freedom of speech. Today's Democratic Party is the party of war. It's the party of Dick Cheney. It's the party
Los queremos y arriba Arizona.
The issue of women's rights has been dominating this election campaign right from the beginning. On Wednesday, during a rally in Wisconsin, Donald Trump said that he will protect women whether they like it or not, drawing criticism from Vice President Kamala Harris and her campaign. Also in Wisconsin, American rapper and singer Cardi B on Friday gave an emphatic endorsement of Kamala Harris.
Trump says he's going to protect women whether they like it or not. Well, if his definition of protection is not the freedom of choice, if his definition of protection is making sure our daughters have fewer rights than our mothers, then I don't want it! I'm not giving Donald Trump a second chance. Nope. I'm not taking any chances with my future. And
as women outpace men in early voter turnout, Trump's challenge is now to win over female voters, whereas Harris has not emphasized her gender during her campaign. But if elected, she would be the first female president in United States history. A historically close contest awaits all of us on Tuesday. Bureau Report, DD India. And now my colleague Shubhendu Ghosh joins me live from Atlanta, Georgia. Hi Shubhendu. Opinion polls in the US show that the race to the White House is poised on a knife's edge. But how reliable have US opinion polls proved to be in the past?
Hello, Tanvi from Atlanta, Georgia. Well, opinion polls are what they are. They are opinions, end of the day. And also, interestingly, opinion polls haven't really clearly taken a side this time over. They are talking about a very tight contest. So in that sense, not much insight into who could really be the contender for the White House, Tanvi. But there are also certain problematic aspects associated with the opinion polls. This time, as we see the contest being so close, a lot depends on voters who are yet undecided or who haven't disclosed who is their candidate of choice. So in that sense, opinion polls are not able to capture the sentiment of those who are in fact going to finally decide who will enter the White House. There are also other problematic issues with it. Media bias, which is not talked about much. Every candidate has a certain media house which sort of has a certain incline towards them. So in that sense, when they come out with an opinion poll, they do give a few points edge to their favorite candidate. There is also a sort of unspoken about betting ecosystem which exists here. A lot of money changes hand around betting who will win the presidential race. So that also puts additional pressure, influence into the opinion polls. So as one gets closer to the election day, one has to take the opinion polls with a pinch of salt. But anyway, the opinion polls haven't given much insight into who is going to come out on top. Tanvi?
Okay, and what would you describe as the key issues in this US election?
Tanvi, we see the issues that have dominated the narrative in these elections. Perhaps the first would be, as it has also climbed up the ladder, would be the issue of illegal immigration. Past couple of years, the United States of America has seen some 11 million undocumented, they're referred to as illegal immigrants as well, reaching the US. In New York, where I was in the first leg of our coverage, about 200,000 illegal immigrants have entered New York. Now, here the city administration also has to provide for these immigrants. So it's not that as if they have to fend for themselves. So there is some degree of housing, shelter, food, medicine, and other facilities that have to be provided to these immigrants. And that puts a lot of pressure on the limited resources. Many immigrants who have entered US legally feel strongly about it. They say that they've waited for a long time to be able to access resources, to be able to make a future in a country like America. On the other side, there are these illegal immigrants who come in without any documents and lay a claim over the resources that rightfully belong to somebody else. So in that sense, it's a very, very sensitive issue in these elections. There is also, of course, the issue of abortion and the kind of stand that Kamala Harris and Donald Trump have taken on the same. That is also going to determine how the women voters in America are going to vote. There's a bit of a complexity there. There is a separate amendment in the context of the reversal of the Joe versus Roe judgment. There is a separate amendment in at least 10 states in the early voting where the voters could vote what their stand on the issue of abortion is. Then there is, of course, economy. Although the overall economic signs look balanced for America, the pinch of inflation has been felt by all sections of society, especially the middle class. Groceries, everyday items have become more expensive in the past couple of years. And that is a matter of concern for the Americans as well. And besides that, there are a number of other issues. The position that America occupies in the world today, the kind of role, the tacit role it plays in the conflicts that are underway, say in Ukraine or in Gaza, the investment in terms of money and resources that goes into it, all of that is on the mind of the voter as they come out to vote. And many of them, mind you, have already exercised their franchise in the early voting.
So we know the blue states lean Democratic and the red states which lean Republican. So is this blue state, red state dynamic likely to be changed in these elections?
Not much, Tanvi. Usually a lot of research insight goes into it, the manner in which the red state and blue state, they're given those tags only after they exhibit a certain kind of behavior, political behavior, over multiple elections. It's not just if a state voted blue in the last election or Democrat in the last election, it will be called blue. So successive elections, when the people of the state show an inclination towards a particular party, so they get that tag of a red or a blue state. So not much is expected there. Therefore, the action really is centered around the 7 swing states, which in the past elections, for example, I'm in Georgia. In 2016, when Donald Trump won the presidency, Georgia was with Donald Trump. In 2020, when Joe Biden took the White House, Georgia swung towards the Democrats. So in that sense, these are the states which don't exhibit a very consistent behavior as to what is their preference, and they sort of change their stance based on the candidate, based on the issues in focus. So in that sense, these 7 states, including Georgia, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and others, really hold the key, because the other states, the red and blue states, are broadly balanced. The electoral votes are broadly balanced between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. What happens in these 7 states? And mind you, a difference of 100 votes could in fact change the destiny of the outcome of these swing states. It's an electoral vote that counts, which means that even if a candidate wins by just 1 vote in the state of Georgia overall, they will get all the 16 electoral votes. So in that sense, a hugely crucial focus on these swing states in these elections.
Indeed. Indeed. Thank you very much. Shubhendu Ghosh reporting from Atlanta, Georgia, US.